Well, now let's turn to our card modeling segment for this evening with David Rarick. And this is the fourth session for David, finishing up the service station. And David, thank you so much for doing this and welcome.
Thank you, Jim. This will be my last presentation. I hope I can get this thing to come up the way it's supposed to. We'll give it a shot. It seems like every time I try to do this, it works differently. So it's always exciting. Okay. All right. Now I got to shrink this down so that I can get back into the it isn't where I wanted it to go.
Sharing screen.
Well, that's why I got it covered over. I got to find it. There we go. All right. Now I hope this will be the right one. Okay.
I'm getting a blank screen.
Yeah, so am I. I'm not sure what it's doing. Let's try this one. No, that still didn't work. That's like I said, every time I do this, I swear to God, it's different.
Been there, done that.
Doesn't look like you actually have a file open. Why don't you try opening the file again?
Yeah, I don't know why it's not doing that, but we'll try it again. Stop share. Try this file again.
You had no problem last week.
No. I don't know what the heck. It's not even opening my file for some reason. Here we go. Here we go. Now, maybe. Okay, well, I've got it on my screen. All I have to do is get to share.
Share screen. There you go.
Is that up now?
You got it.
All right. Now we put it up full size. I swear to God, every time I do this, it's different. All right, well, I'm just gonna
Click it twice.
I'm just gonna go right into here.
Yeah, it'll work too.
This will work. I think it'll work.
There you are.
All right.
Got a part of it.
All right. All
Where's
right.
the rest of it?
I've got a blank screen.
You
I got a little piece at the top. Just go back. There you are. Use that.
Use this one.
Yes. Hey, we can see it.
You can see it.
Yes.
All right. Yes, I'll just use my mouse. So this is part 4. We're going to add some details. This is how the building looked in my last session. Is that basically completed the building itself? I decided to add some details, and Jim said, "Yeah, he'd like to see that." So I just said, "Okay, we'll put it together." I scrounged around on my scrap bin in the garage and found a piece of 3/16 hardboard. I use that for a base. And I also went to the internet and downloaded some additional paper model files from Clever Models. And these are the internet addresses: Clever Models, squarespace.com, Scale Scenes, and Wordsworth. Nice thing about Wordsworth is they're all free. You can download any of his designs for $0. This is a Clever Models page from their HO scale oil shed. This is one of the files that I used. This is Clever Models HO scale wood fence. And these are just printed on plain cardstock. Now this I got from Wordsworth. They had some vending machines. These are pretty basic, but I thought, yeah, what the heck, I'll try it. One thing to note is because these are British, they're printed, they're designed in 1/76 scale, which is British 00. And if you're going to do HO, you got to reduce it in size to 87% on your printer. This is again Wordsworth. I used this to make the desk in the office. I didn't use any of the rest of it. Here's a close-in shot of the desk printout. And here's how it looks after it was folded up and glued together. Again, pretty basic, but remember this is interior and we have to look at it through the windows from outside. That won't look too bad. I covered the base with asphalt paving powder from Arizona Rock and Mineral. Just mixed it straight, artist acrylic, didn't use any water, just mixed it up into like a paste. This is actually ground up stone, rock, real fine. And I also did this with dirt from my backyard, which I sifted and heated and baked and everything else. And it stunk to high heaven and it didn't really work all that well, as you'll see. Mixed the stone and the matte medium up in a little tub. And the dirt I used had clay in it. So even a little bit of moisture that was in the matte medium caused that clay to expand. And then it shrank. This shows it's still wet, applied to the base. I used a palette knife, spread it out. I was able to work it up against the floor of the building without having it stick fast, which is good. This is the Clever oil shed. Cut out the drawing from the print. Cut out the window and door openings I could have done in previous models. Here's a new trick I wanted to show. Instead of going to the trouble of using the sticky label method on a piece of clear glass, I just stuck a piece of cellophane tape, glossy, over top of the whole window. Can barely see it, but this is where the tape is right here. And then I cut the tape off and I glued that in behind the window opening. It just makes it look a little glossier like glass. It's not perfect because you also have glossy window frame. So I also cut out one of the signs and stuck it over the Pennzoil logo. These are interior corner braces that were included on the Clever Models drawing. You add them to the top of the walls once you folded it into a box. Makes it a little more sturdy. The top piece is just a single layer printed cardstock glued on the top. And then they also supply these extra pieces that are used for layering. And with a slight bit of overlap, only about a 32nd of an inch maybe. Here they were cut into strips and overlaid over top of the roof. Haven't done any weathering yet on this. This is just as it came off the print. Here you can see how that ground mix I used just cracked all over. It's an interesting effect. You might find it useful. I mean, the driveway here is a N scale ballast, again from Arizona Rock and Mineral. Mix that up the same way with the matte medium and then spread it over top of the dirt. And once that dried, it wasn't cracked. Here you can see this is the finished effect. I put some glue down on top of the dirt and used my static grass applicator, put some grass on it. Again, I made no effort to cover up or fill in the cracks. I just put the grass right over top. Here I cut a small piece of heavy card, probably chipboard, same size as the bottom of the oil shed. And then I excavated a hole in the ground so that it would sit flat. And I have a good surface to glue the shed to. This is probably about the trickiest part of that. This oil tank also came from that shed kit. But what you have to do is you have to roll it and glue the sides to the ends. It's a bit fiddly, as I said. And the same thing, this stack is actually rolled paper off the print, glued with the little, I don't know what you call this, little bonnet on the top, rain cover, I guess. I cut a slight angle on it here to match the pitch on the roof of my garage. Because rather than put that on top of the oil shed, the way it's designed, I wanted it on the garage. Okay, here's the back to the building. Print 2 additional copies of the roof shingles, and then cut them into strips of 2 shingles wide. Color the bottom edge before you start to glue them on. Color it with your gray marker, and then start applying them at the bottom, gluing fast, and overlap each succeeding strip halfway. That'll give you a 3-dimensional look on your roof. Here you can see how it looks finished. So these are the layered shingles. Here you can also see how I did the opposite side with the gravel for the walkway and static grass. This side shows what the roof looks like without being layered, just for comparison. Makes quite a bit of difference. And here, the shed roof, I've weathered it lightly with pan pastels. Boy, it just takes just a touch. On paper, it weathers up very, very fast. This is the clever fence. The design requires that you fold it and flatten it back on top of itself. In other words, bend it fully around 180 degrees. And then I put stick glue on both surfaces, rolled it down tight because you don't want any gaps, you want a firm bond. Because then when it's glued together like that, oops, you got to come back and you got to cut all these notches for the uneven boards and cut out the openings where the boards are missing. And then take your gray marker and color around all those cut edges so that you don't have any white showing. To make the posts, I used that same page. It was the fence design, but I printed it on the adhesive label paper that I used earlier on part of the other building. And then I wrapped that around some evergreen 60,000 square strip styrene. I found it helps to get the label to stick if you clean the plastic with isopropyl alcohol first. I did one without cleaning it and it just didn't really want to stick very well. So I did it with, cleaned it with IPA and it worked fine. By the way, you could also use some strip wood for this if you have any 1/16 strip wood, but I didn't have any. So I resorted to doing this. The cross pieces across the fence laminated to a piece of chipboard, so they made them a little bit thicker and stronger. And again, don't forget to color all the cut edges. I glued those strips across the back of the fence and glued the posts on 8-foot centers, HO 8-foot centers. Like I said, I could have used basswood, but I didn't have any. Plus then you got to mess around either using your marker on it or staining it to get it to try to match the same color as the fence. Cut the fence here at the back to a length that would go just beyond the doors for the restrooms, and made this piece the right length to fit up against the side of the building. Took a couple of the advertising signs and glued them to the outside of the fence. I marked the base and drilled it out for the fence post. I think I used about an 1/8 inch bit in a pin vise. This would have worked better had I not cut back the edge of the base quite so far. I got a little fancy. I wanted it to look artistic, I guess. So it ended up one of the posts doesn't fit on the base at all. It hangs out in the air. But I glued it in place with PVA, but I left it loose here at the side of the building because I wanted to still be able to remove the building from the base just in case I had to do some extra work on it. Okay, now these are interior furnishings. These are from Scale Scenes. They come with complete directions on how to use their stuff, which is kind of unusual in card modeling circles. One of the few companies I know of that really makes excellent illustrated instructions on how to put their kits together. So if you go to Scale Scenes and buy any of their products, you're going to be blessed with full instructions on how to use them. These are made by folding thin paper over a base that you make by gluing the print onto, well, in this case, I use 16th inch thick. It's called task board, but you could have used chipboard or something like that just as well. And here's what they look like. I made a sofa and a chair. And by the way, that dark coloring is intentional. I took a gray marker and I messed it up because I figured, in the garage, these guys are coming in with grimy clothes and hands and everything. The furniture is probably going to look pretty rough. So I dirtied it up. This is Fat Albert here. He's decided the sofa is a pretty good fit. He's watching TV, which is also one of the Scale Scenes items that I made. Here I tried making a chair for the desk using Clever Models. This came from their Kirk's Books kit. It's pretty dang spindly. These legs are actually about maybe a 32nd of an inch wide, cut out of card. And as you can see, the first one didn't turn out too good. So I tried it again. One of the nice things with cardstock modeling is you print up as many as you want. I stiffened up these legs so they don't bend all over the place. Did that by coating them with thin super glue, CA. And it makes them just like a board. They literally get hard. Oops. Here you can see through the side window. You can see where that chair is sitting there behind the desk. This is a sales counter made from part, again, of a Scale Scenes design. This is actually the back of the television set, which is sitting on the counter. This air conditioning unit came from another Clever Models kit called Greasy Gus's. I often rob bits and pieces from my various kits. I probably have purchased all of the Clever Models kits that were ever done, like 100 of them or something like that. So I say, is this Paul? because the sign on the truck says Paul's Fresh Produce. The truck was purchased from Woodland Scenics. And I didn't do anything to it, but put it on the set. This is that Pepsi vending machine from the design that I had. This gives you the top view of the office. If I was going to make this building again, I would make this larger. It might have been Paul's idea actually to put it back here at the back end of the flooring, which I suspect it was, but he only made these wainscot strips this wide. So I wasn't sure which was intended, so I just put it here. But having built it, I would have now made it back here. It would give you a lot more room to put furnishings inside if you wanted it. This is the back now. Here you can see I added an electrical box and a meter. These are actual paper. And again came from that Greasy Gus Clever Models kit. The conduit's just a piece of wire, Florist wire, painted and glued up on the side. And this photo, with the lights on, it's possible to see the interior detail. Including, this is, I think, Fat Albert's face right there. So if you're going to do any close-in modeling, or if it's going to be toward the front of your layout, you definitely need to furnish the inside. Here's another picture showing that. You can see the chair here and another guy sitting in it. Okay, that pretty much completes it. Took these photos outside in natural daylight, sitting on my picnic table. So you can get an idea of how it looks in real light. And I think it came out pretty good. Any questions at all?
Very well done, David.
Thank you. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for David? David, thank you so much for doing it. The detailing that you've done for it, I think, is outstanding. And it just shows you how much you can take a kit and make it personal and really a foreground model. And I really do appreciate you taking the time to do it.
Yeah, I could have spent a lot of money. I thought it was bad enough buying this stuff from Woodland Scenics to put on it, but I couldn't figure out how to make people and trucks out of paper. So I mean, there's guys that make trucks out of paper, like military trucks, but they're usually pretty square shaped, and to make the convex rounded shapes on an automobile or a truck pickup is very hard to do in paper. So there are just some things better done with other materials.
I agree. Well, thank you so very much. I appreciate it, and can't wait to see what you do for us next.
Jim,